Sports scandals are always fascinating. They can involve cheating, corruption, or just plain old dirty tactics. Some make you want to shake your head, and others are just outrageous. But here are some of the craziest sports scandals of all time. The Black Sox Scandal. This baseball scandal, known as simply the Black Sox Scandal, took place during the 1919 World Series, where the White Sox were playing against the Cincinnati Reds. It featured 8 players banned for life from the MLB for purposely losing games during the World Series, but with the benefit of large amounts of money. Arnold Chick Gandil orchestrated the throwing of the games, and it was he who convinced his teammates to take the money as well. This scandal is the story behind the fantastic movie 8 Men Out, and is still a common topic when discussing the right of the shoeless Joe Jackson, a player on the White Sox at the time whose involvement had been widely disputed to be in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose betting on baseball games while he was a player and a manager. Pete Rose was undoubtedly one of the best baseball players of all time, so you know he made a lot of money, but yet he still felt the need to bet. And that eventually led to his dismiss and the fact that he is permanently banned from the MLB and the Hall of Fame ballot. Sheesh. After years of saying the accusations were senseless and false, more and more evidence piled up until in the 80s, Commissioner of the MLB asked Rose to take a voluntary ban from the MLB if he promised to cease investigations on how much Rose gambled. And what made Rose's gambling worse was the fact that he was betting on the Reds games while being a manager. His legacy is not only completely tarnished, but his name will forever be synonymous with gambling. The Oj Simpson Trial. Now this is one scandal that needs no introduction. Given its fame and infamy, the trial of the century was a huge media event in which the former NFL star Oj Simpson was put on trial for allegedly murdering his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ron Goldman. On live TV, Simpson was doing the dash and taken off from the cops in an inordinate amount of time in one of the most insane moments in TV history. But unfortunately, no one can run forever, and once OJ was caught, it was declared that he would go to federal court. There, after 9 months of trial, Simpson, in one of the most notorious court rulings in recent history, he was found not guilty. This is after there were numerous DNA samples and he made it seemingly evident that he was at fault, as well as holes in his story. And perhaps one of the most known parts is when the court asked him to put on that black glove and he was acting like it didn't fit. There are few people in America who would deny that he was guilty, yet he was found not guilty, in a moment of disbelief for audiences everywhere. It was a real bizarre moment, and he was later found liable in the resulting civil trial. He has spent his life after being released from prison trying to recover from his name and image, which will never be really possible. Michael Vick's dogfighting ring. Michael Vick was that dude, the lefty, one of the flashiest players and one of them quarterbacks that helped develop the modern day quarterback. All that came with controversy and penalties. In 2007, he was implicated in a dogfighting ring scandal that apparently was going on for 5 years. Numerous dogs of Vick's were killed and many more were harmed and destroyed mentally beyond belief. It was huge when Vick was arrested, and it shocked the NFL world. He spent 21 months in federal prison. His arrest and conviction really gave him a bad rep, which lasted until the end of his career. He was released by the Falcons shortly before leaving prison. The Eagles were one of few that accepted him though, and he started as a third stringer. He came into the season as an MVP favorite. He eventually won Comeback Player of the Year award and a Pro Bowl selection. But unfortunately, his career is marked by his animal cruelty. Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan 1994 figure skating scandal. And this might be one of the most unethical, unsportsmanlike, and nasty moments in sports history. Tanya and Nancy were great skaters. Sure, they were rivals, but it was never suspected that they had less than full respect for each other's achievements. Yet, in 1994, a man struck Kerrigan with a metal pole on her leg right before the US Figure Skating Championships. Can't lie, the scene was a little bit too dreadful, but she was in lots of pain and clearly was crying. It wasn't suspected at all at first that Harding had anything to do with the attack, and she performed in the championships. Yet, among the suspicion, she came out and declared that Harding, her now ex-husband, and her bodyguard had conspired together and hired the man to break her leg. At first, Harding was banned from skating, but after threatening to sue them, they accepted her back. In the following Olympics, Harding placed 8th as the rehabilitated Kerrigan secured a silver medal, a feel-good moment in sports. Diego Maradona's Hand of God goal versus England in the 1986 World Cup. In a winner-take-all match during the quarterfinals of the 1986 World Cup, Diego Maradona scored one goal that would be talked about for eternity. The play began with Argentina in possession and coming downfield toward the English net. A bouncing ball made its way to Maradona, who was in the center of the country's attack. He managed to evade 2 defenders, and with 6 English players between him and the net, he seemed unlikely to score. But he was in his bag, and one of the most fascinating moves in history. He stopped running for a moment, turned his head, slightly as if he was readying himself to pass the ball off, and then he punched it forward with his left hand. The ball zipped forward and flew over the goalie's head and into the net. It seemed as if he paused for a moment before celebrating with his teammates. And it wasn't until years later that Maradona spoke about the Hand of God moment, actually using his hand. Now that's wraps. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe by the bell if you're new. Appreciate the view. Oh wait, over 70% aren't subscribed, so go ahead and do that. And as always though, thank you for watching.